Hello and welcome to IELTS Helping Hand. I hope you all are doing great. In this video, I will share some tips and techniques with you guys which would really help you in your IELTS speaking test. If you are aiming band 7 or above in your IELTS speaking, then do watch this video till end. Now without wasting any time, let's move towards our today's topic. Number 1 tip is be confident. Trust me, it's really important. Try not to be nervous because when we are under pressure, we make silly grammatical mistakes and it's quite difficult to speak in a flow. A pause of 5 seconds or more anywhere in your IELTS speaking limits your fluency and cohesion score to band 4. So, speak confidently. You may get a score you didn't expect. Number 2 is extend your answers. This is probably one of the most important tips. The examiner's job is to assess your speaking skills. But if you're not saying much or giving one-word answers like yes or no, he or she will not be able to do this. Your job is to give the examiner as much language as possible, so speak as much as you can. For your better understanding, I will give you an example. Let's suppose the examiner asks you, "Do you like baking?" Now instead of answering like, "Yes, I like baking," full stop, the best response will be, "I absolutely love baking. In fact, I'm a pro in it. I learned it from my mother who makes the world's best cakes and cookies. Baking makes me happy, especially the heavenly aroma of something sweet in the oven." Full stop. So you see, my answer is consist of 4 to 5 sentences. So just try to elaborate your answers by adding more details to score high. Number 3 is stay on topic. Although it's important to extend your answers, but make sure you stay on the topic. If you go off the topic, it will negatively affect your scores. Number 4, understand the question. If you couldn't make sense of the question, instead of answering it wrong, just politely ask the examiner to repeat himself. You won't lose any marks for this. Number 5, use intonation. Intonation is a feature of pronunciation, which is one of the assessment criteria in IELTS speaking test. Your assessor will pay attention to whether or not you use intonation to show different meanings in your talk. A flat sounding or monotone voice will not get you very far in your IELTS score. Number 6, expect interruptions. The examiner might interrupt you for a number of reasons, and not all of them are problems. They might interrupt you if your answer is too long, or if it is off topic in part 1 and part 3 only, because he can't interrupt you in part 2. The examiner also might interrupt you in part 3 for a positive reason. Your answer is strong enough and the examiner wants to move to other challenging questions. So in short, interruption of examiner is not necessarily a trouble unless you go off topic. Number 7, not a truth test. It might surprise many of you to know that you can lie in your IELTS test. It's perfectly normal to make things up. Use your imagination where needed. If the examiner asks you about any situation you didn't experience yet, make a story. You will not be penalized for lying. Number 8, prepare your start. In part 2. In part 2 of your IELTS speaking test, the examiner will give you a task card and a minute to generate ideas. Once that 1 minute is up, the examiner will say few lines like, "Now, remember you have 1 or 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I will tell you when the time is up. You can start speaking now, full stop." And then he will stop speaking and your time will start. I will recommend that when your preparation time is up, don't listen to the examiner because it's the same in every other exam. And I already told you what he or she is going to say. So instead, utilize these 5 to 7 seconds wisely and prepare your first 2 or 3 lines. So when the examiner finishes, you will be ready to go. Number 9, focus on tense. Part 2. Always pay attention to the tense of the given situation on the task card. If the topic is about a past experience, for example, describe a time you visited a museum, full stop, then your response should be in past tense. Number 10, give journal examples. Part 3. In part 3, if you want to give example to support your idea, make sure it doesn't start with I. In part 3, the examiner wants you to talk in a more general way, so avoid giving personal opinions and examples. Let's suppose the examiner asks you, "How do people spend their holidays in your country?" While answering this question, instead of saying, "During holidays, I prefer to go and meet my extended family," and so on, the appropriate response will be, "Most people in my country go to meet their families in other cities, especially their grandparents. Some also plan trips to holiday spots, and etc. and etc." The tip is, you don't need to change the ideas, just represent them differently. Number 11, informal way of speaking. Don't try to speak like you're writing an essay. Try to speak in a natural way. Avoid using many formal linking words like furthermore and moreover. Use contractions like didn't instead of did not, won't instead of would not. Number 12, prepare your ideas. Sometimes the examiner asks you a question about which you never really thought of before or lack vocabulary. So it's really important to expand the horizon of your vocabulary and ideas. You can prepare by reading storybooks, articles, or by watching movies or listening to podcasts. Number 13, pronunciation. Pronunciation is really important and it contributes about 25% in your total IELTS speaking score. So it's really important that you focus on your pronunciation too. There's an app called ELSA, and this software basically helps practice English pronunciation with the ability to identify and analyze voice. It's very user friendly, so I will definitely recommend this application to you guys. So use this application to improve your pronunciation. Number 14 is a trick. This is basically a trick to get easy questions in your IELTS speaking test. In part 1 of IELTS speaking test, the examiner will ask you a question like, what do you do? Or are you a student or you are working somewhere? Basically, your answer to this question helps the examiner in selecting questions for part 2 and 3 for you. If your answer to this question is, I'm doing masters, or I'm a bachelor's student, or I'm working in this organization, then the examiner will ask you difficult questions. Difficult in a sense that he will ask you questions about science, artificial intelligence, emotional intelligence, work-life balance. On the other hand, if your answer is, I completed my studies few years ago and now I stay at home, or I got married last year and now I'm a housewife, you will feel the nature of part 2 and 3 questions will automatically change. The examiner will ask you questions about very basic and everyday topics. For example, about your friends, about friendship, about relationship, about bringing up your kids. Topics on which it is quite easy to talk on. This trick definitely works for me and for my friends too. So try it out and comment below and tell us whether it works for you or not. That is all for today. I hope these tips and tricks will help you in achieving your desired band score in IELTS speaking. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Good luck.